I just got done watching Ridley Scott's newest film, The Dog Stars.
There's a new bunch in town. They're going after everything that's left.
Starring Margot Qualley, Jacob Elordi, Guy Pearce, Josh Brolin, and a couple other characters. And essentially in this movie, Jacob Elordi plays a man that's grieving the loss of his wife after she dies during the early stages of a flu-like virus that wipes out 90% of the world. There are some survivors, but the ones that survived through the flu grew an immunity to it and become like these ravaged, like savage people that kind of just scour the wastelands in search of food and killing anyone that's left. And he plays one of the few people that survived the flu, didn't wind up getting it, and he is normal because of it. So he takes shelter in an air hangar with Josh Brolin's character, and there they kind of hold down the fort, and every night they go out and kill anyone that could be approaching to pose a threat to them, and they just live out their days there together, just waking up, killing people, and holding down their fort. One day something really awful happens, and it kind of kickstarts Jacob Elordi's character into wanting to get out of this mundane routine of waking up, killing people, going to sleep, rinse and repeat over and over and over again until he dies. He wants to go out and find a community of people that are thriving somewhere. He needs to find a purpose to keep himself going because he's so riddled with the grief of the loss of his wife and the child that he almost had with her. On top of this tragic thing that happens in this movie that I don't want to spoil, that he just needs a reason to keep on living. So he wants to go off and try and find greener pastures. And the movie really at its core is about Jacob Elordi dealing with grief and trying to find peace in this horrible thing that's happened to both he and the world. Now, I did something that I don't normally do before going to watch this movie, and I accidentally spoiled the general consensus of what people think about this movie. I accidentally ran across the Rotten Tomatoes score of what this movie is, and I couldn't believe how bad this movie is getting reviewed. I think it's one of Ridley Scott's worst reviewed movies of all time, and I was like, oh my god. Now, I'm somebody that doesn't like to look at reviews before I go and see a movie, because sometimes if you know what the general consensus thinks, that can kind of persuade your feelings of the movie, knowing that. So I like to go in without knowing that kind of stuff, so again, I could form my own opinion, because there are a lot of movies that I really enjoyed that upon getting out and going to do my review and then looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score the following day, I'm like, oh my god, most everybody hates this movie, but I really enjoyed it. But it was spoiled for me, and I don't know if that helped when I went into this movie, but I gotta say, just ripping the band-aid off, I really enjoyed this movie. Now look, Ridley Scott is a king. He's an icon. There's a lot of talk going around right now about how, because he keeps putting out stinker after stinker after stinker, that it's ruining his legacy, and I just don't think that's the case. You know, Michael Jordan, the last 2 years that he played basketball, was not great. He did not get a lot of points on the board. He was not one of the MVPs. He wasn't a good player. That doesn't change the fact that he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Ridley Scott revolutionized horror with Alien. He revolutionized science fiction with Blade Runner. He then revolutionized the sword and sandal epic with Gladiator, which is considered one of the greatest films of all time. Is this Ridley Scott's revolutionary tale of the post-apocalyptic pandemic type world? No, but it's still a good movie. It's just not on par of a masterpiece like those films are. And I see a lot of the reviews are people saying things like, it's not a bad movie, but when you consider the fact that it's made from the guy that made Gladiator and Blade Runner, it is a bad movie. Like, yeah, of course, if you're going to relate it to some of the greatest movies of all time, which he made, then sure, you're going to look at this movie like not a great movie. But as a post-apocalyptic thriller where the lead character is dealing with grief, I think it's a damn fine movie. It is a little slow. If I have to pick some gripes that I have with the movie, it is a little slow in the beginning. The first 30 to 45 minutes are setting up what this movie really is about and getting Jacob Elordi on the path of wanting to leave this air hangar that he's at with Josh Brolin and going out and trying to find civilization. But once it gets going, I was really locked in. I really like Jacob Elordi's character. They established very early on that he loves this dog companion that's with him. He misses his wife and he feels guilty over the fact that she didn't survive the first wave of like the flu pandemic that wiped out all of the population. And I'm just on board with it. And again, maybe that's because going into this movie, I am dealing with some grief within my own personal life, and I am looking at it through those rose-colored glasses of I am dealing with grief, and I just really relate related to his character right now, and that might also have made this movie a lot more enjoyable to me because I just found myself being represented by him, and I was just so locked in and on board with him the whole time that I thought he was a great character. Josh Brolin was really funny. There's some great humor in this movie that isn't forced. It feels natural. Guy Pearce is fantastic in this movie. Marco Qualley is fantastic in this movie. Those are like the four main characters, but they're all great. They find themselves in increasingly dire set pieces that they have to get out of, where they go places and they have to go on the run from these crazed savage people that are chasing after them with machetes, and they're on like this foot chase getting away from them, and then they finally get in their plane and fly away by the skin of their teeth. Like, that whole set piece was really thrilling, and I was on the edge of my seat. And then they go to this other air hangar, which apparently is like a big thing in this post-apocalyptic world, but they go to this other like airport that was an established like community of civilization, and really creepy things happen there. I don't want to spoil too much about that, but like the last hour of this movie, I thought was really, really well done. I was nervous, I was scared at points, it was thrilling, there was action, there was violence, and Ridley Scott does violence really well. I don't know what it is, but the sound of the guns that go off in this movie sounds so much cooler than a lot of other movies with guns. Like, they just sound so like thick and like meaty and weighty, and like there's just like a noise to them, and I don't know what he uses for the sound effects. Maybe he just goes and records the gunshots, but I don't know, something about the violence in his movies is always really entertaining and thrilling to me. And I thought the message about trying to find the beauty in these horrifying situations, it was really beautiful. And I thought that the idea of this man trying to overcome something so awful and going through this grief was really, really poignant and touching, and again, I just related to it. So as I'm watching this movie, I'm like, all right, this movie has like a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. When is it going to take a turn for the worst? It's got to be the middle act, because the first act wasn't that bad. It was just a lot of setup. Then the middle act passes, and I was totally thrilled. And then I was like, all right, it's got to be the last act. I mean, a movie could be great, but if they don't stick the landing and the ending's horrible, then a lot of people will say the movie was bad. So maybe the movie, like the ending of the movie is terrible. And the end of the movie happened and the credits rolled, and I was like, I like this movie. I'm in the minority, I guess. And maybe it's just because the planets aligned in my life to make me the person that Ridley Scott was trying to speak to in making this movie. And unless you're in a position that I'm in, you might just look at it like nothing. But I really enjoyed it. Look, if you're looking for the next revolutionary take on the post-apocalyptic world, you're not going to get it. But if you just want a thrilling drama with great performances and great set pieces, I think you're going to enjoy it. The dialogue's not cheesy, the music was great, the cinematography was beautiful, as always with Ridley Scott films. I can't give this movie any less than an 8 out of 10. I just really enjoyed it. But again, maybe like I said, the planets just aligned perfectly, and only people going through the things that I'm going through are going to enjoy it at this point in time. Maybe try and watch the movie when you're going through something and it'll lift your spirits, because that's what this movie felt like to me. It was like putting Jacob Elordi in these horrible situations and watching him overcome it. It was Ridley Scott's version of a movie showing that no matter how dark it gets, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel if you just hold on 1 second longer. And I think that's a really important message for anybody during any stage of their life. But what say you guys? What do you think? A lot of people are calling for Ridley Scott to retire. Even if I hated this movie, I still wouldn't sit here with my pitchfork saying Ridley Scott should retire. Now, I am one of the people, after I saw his awful movie Napoleon, which I hated, that did say he needs to stop making movies. But once I calm down, I'm kind of looking at it through the lens of now, making a movie like Gladiator takes a lot of time and effort. It takes a lot. And movies like that take years to make. And I think Ridley Scott knows his days are numbered, his years are numbered. He's like 80 something years old. I think he's 89 years old. And he just wants to make as much as he can, as fast as he can, to scratch that itch before he passes away. So he's just pumping out movie after movie after movie after movie after movie. And good for you. As long as studios are going to give him money to keep doing it, because this is what he loves to do. And when they stop giving him money, I'm sure Netflix will come around and give him some money to make a couple movies before he eventually dies. And this is what he loves to do. Just let the guy do it. And if you don't like the stuff he's putting out, then don't go and see it. But I'm always going to show up to support him. I'm like a dumb sports fan that no matter how bad my team is, I'm always going to show up. I'm always going to do that for Ridley, just because he has imprinted on my life with movies like Blade Runner and Alien and Gladiator and so much more. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Have you had a chance to see this movie yet? Are you going to see it? And has my review swayed your opinion on whether or not you want to see it? I really implore you to not listen to the reviews and go and see it yourself and make your own opinion, and then come back here and let me know what you think. As always, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you next time.